Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Today was hard to get through. Today was very difficult, and it made it even worse when I watched the Sixers play the Suns. And granted, they won, and it was awesome, and it was electric to watch Niang drill so many damn threes. But all I could think about was, this isn't playoff baseball. No disrespect, but we're 11 games in or so of the NBA regular season, whatever the hell it is. I am missing the cold weather and the people going nuts for an explosive double in the gap. I need it. And I'm clearly heartbroken, but when it turned to 8 o'clock, 8:03 to be specific, as I'm recording this 11:15 on Monday night, when it was 8:03, I'm like, holy hell, this is dreadful. This is dreadful. I'm dreading this. I was dreading this moment. The fact that there's not postseason ball on my television screen. So I'm not telling anybody there's a specific correct way to feel. It's very difficult to get to the end. It's hard to represent the National League. So because of that, I'm having an issue. Some were already turning the page and appreciating the run. We took phone calls all day on the Fanatic. And you had mixed reviews. Some felt very similar to me, and others wanted to soak in the last month, soak in the journey. Think about all the time with their family members and their friends. And I'm not telling you what the right answer is. I don't know what the right answer is. All I can say is what went through my mind. And what went through my mind is, damn it, because I don't know when we are going to be in that position again. I look at the Dodgers, and the Dodgers spend to go get big stars. They make trades with Boston to go grab a Mookie Betts. They acquire lethal talent. They haven't been in the World Series in 2 seasons because the Phillies were there this year, the Braves were there last year representing the National League, and then they won with the shortened season. They went through a 32-year drought of lifting the Commissioner's Trophy. For a team built the way that they are built, that's a long time. It's a long time for any franchise, let alone one that puts their team in a position like that every single season. The New York Yankees, they're desperate. They think about 2009 probably just as much as we do from a pain level of thinking we could go back-to-back with the Crew after doing the damage in 08. But they couldn't do that, unfortunately. But the Yankees, they wanted so bad. They want to taste in the Bronx what we felt at Citizens Bank Park. And I'm using these 2 teams as the example. I'll throw the Atlanta Braves in there. I'll throw the Boston Red Sox in there. There's so many teams that do more than the Phillies each season, to be fair. And I know John Middleton is willing to spend his paychecks, but there are other squads in a different tier than the Philadelphia Phillies. That's just reality of how Major League Baseball is set up. And they would do anything for it. And they try to. But it's that hard to do. So, unfortunately for me, the glass is half full. Or I'm sorry, I'm doing terrible today. But that's how it's going to be because I can't wrap my brain around getting no hits. I can't wrap my brain really about Game 5. No hit is such an outlier. It's disgusting, especially at home when you were doing nothing but raking. When you look at Game 5, both teams struggled with runners in scoring position. Even if you got no hit in Game 4 and you won Game 5 and you head into Houston with 2 games to win 1. Oh, it's just disgusting. It really is. I'm not just pissed off insanely at the players. I'm just sad. I'm upset. I enjoyed it too, so there's a lot of adrenaline from being up and staying up all night long. These days, I was up until 3 a.m. in the middle of the work week because it was on my brain. You know how it is after you watch a game and you win. You're so damn excited. So fatigue has settled in. Sometimes I'm hungry as hell and I'm waiting to get something to eat. So then the hangry comes in. So hangry, excited, fatigued, tired, disappointed, upset. It's a billion different feelings in a row. All happening at once. Bang, 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 bang. It's nonstop. But I'm looking at it more being on the emptier side than excited for what you had. Maybe one day, maybe in a week or two, when I let it digest, we get accustomed to Flyers regular season. We get accustomed to the Sixers again. But I'm not there yet. I had a very difficult time emotionally connecting with the Sixers. No James Harden. It's just early days. But it's really ridiculous thinking that you turn on MLB Network this morning and you're getting hit with the hot stove. The Mets are making moves. They're signing their closer to a big-ass deal. We'll see how that pays off. I just can't believe, what? We are not used to this. But there's so many things that we have to look at, too. Bryce Harper's injury. I saw a report from Jim Salisbury on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com about him going to get checked out this week. I think it needed to happen today because he has his eyes on the World Baseball Classic, which starts in early March. I believe it's March 8th or so. Well, what's happening here, Doc? Where are you with the health things? Because apparently he's expected to undergo evaluation this week, getting some MRI stuff done. He might be able to get an internal brace, which is what Reese had a procedure done before, and he got it done October 2020, and he was good to go for spring training in 2021. But if he needs to get Tommy John, it would be longer. Now, Shohei Ohtani had this, and he was able to DH after 7 months. But Bryce really wants to play in the World Baseball Classic. You know what I want, Bryce? I want you to be as sharp as you can be for the Philly season. I know you love ball, and I know you want to play on a big stage, and I have no issue with you being that hungry. But I value the Philadelphia Phillies starting the 2022 next season more, or 2023 at that point. I'm sure we'll be getting updated pretty damn soon. We got some other news about Gene Segura, and it's interesting because we interviewed Scott Lauber of the Philadelphia Inquirer today, and we were talking about Eflin, and we were talking about Aaron Nola, and maybe it's possible that Aaron Nola even gets an extension, which wouldn't be a surprise at all. I do have my concerns about him on the biggest stage. He had a lot of issues in September. He answered those demons. He answered that call. Now he had his issues in the postseason, so he's going to have to prove to me, because the mental makeup has always been somewhat of the factor, the X factor in can he do it or not. He's a good pitcher overall. You have him in your starting rotation. I'm not bashing him to that level. But do I want him to be a number 2 in a playoff series? Do I need him to possibly, if Zach Wheeler has dead arm again, if they make a deep run, and he needs to slot into your number 1, I hate to break it to you, I don't feel very good about that. I want him closer to, and I'm not saying inning-wise, because I expect him to have a higher ceiling than what Noah Syndergaard gave you, but if it's a Wheeler, it's somebody else that maybe they acquire in a Rhys Hoskins trade, and then it's Ranger Suarez, and then it's Aaron Nola flirting around the 4 or something, that would make me feel better. I think there's something to be said about what he brings, but he does struggle when there is guys on base. The game slows down for him. He looks completely different. He doesn't have overpowering stuff where, look at Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander did not have his great stuff in his last outing, but there's something to be said about knowing how to battle, and with the velocity side of things, and this is not something he can control, but when you don't have your full-on A game, you could get away if you're throwing 98, if you're throwing 97. He doesn't have that, and I think that correlates with why at times when his A game's not there, the pitch selection goes out of whack. Obviously, the location isn't there, but he doesn't have the ability to reach back and let it fire. Anyway, Scott Lauber touched on Aaron Nola a little bit, and at the time, Eflin, I guess, declined his part of the mutual option, which to me says that he knew he wasn't going to be retained by the Phillies. But who are you, Zach Eflin? With all due respect, what was it, about a $15 million option? And you're like, you know what, Phillies, I'm not going to take it. You ain't getting that type of cash. Come on, who's paying Zach Eflin that type of dough? You can't even tell if he's going to be healthy or not. Of course he wants to be a starter, Well, we'll see what he ends up getting out there in the market. And same with Gene Segura. Now, there was a time, because you started to hear about Nola, you heard about some other guys, the Kyle Gibsons of the world and whatnot, and you didn't hear anything about Gene. I was wondering, is it possible that they try and work something out with him? Now, later on, I said that maybe about 3 or 4 hours before the Phillies tweeted out that they declined the Gene Segura club option. I'm like, everyone else's name has already been thrown out there. Is there something to be said about maybe knocking down the big hit for that season and giving him multi-years? So maybe 2 years, 12 mil per, 2 years, 24, instead of the 1 year left, and accepting what the contract was. But they're going to be right. Which makes the most sense, though, because the more and more you play around, if they go get either a Trey Turner, a Carlos Correa, a Dansby Swanson, or a Bogarts, and we know about Dave Dombrowski's relationship with Bogarts and himself. And if Gene Segura was here, hypothetically, where does stock go? I don't think it's as simple as throw someone over at third. Like Alec Boehm there. If Rhys Hoskins isn't here because he's traded, maybe you can move Boehm over to first base. I think they want him to play third, though. And I'm not giving Rhys Hoskins away just for nothing. I'm only doing it if I'm getting the proper type of respect back in return. I need a high starting pitching style of dude. And as much as you say who would want Rhys Hoskins because of his putrid defense, there's a lot to be said about his 30 bombs. The problem is right now with this roster, everyone's like, we'll be back, we'll bounce right back, we'll get right back to the World Series. I don't feel that strongly about it. And not because I think they're going to stink, or I think they're going to be bad, or I think they're going to be awful. But this was such a magical journey that all clicked at the right time. What are the odds and what are the statistics telling you that it's all going to come together perfectly? The Braves probably thought that they were going to return. They get Matt Olson. They move on from their big-time guy, the guy that runs their city basically, and Freeman. Ronald Acuna Jr. healthy because when they won, they went and acquired a whole new outfield. Right, they probably thought they'd go deeper than the NLDS, especially when they saw the Philadelphia Phillies. You got to be hot at the right time. And I just don't know if I can go full in on that, especially when people want to act like there's not a lot to be done with this roster. There's a lot to be done with this roster. You do have too many DHs. Are you going to keep Rhys or are you going to trade Rhys? Are you going to get a big fish? I think they are. I'd be devastated if they don't. I believe in John Middleton opening up the checkbook more, and there are a lot of names that come off the books, the Didi Gregoriuses of the world, Corey Knebel, Familia. Those two guys didn't really pan out in the bullpen. One was more because of just the injury side of things with Corey Knebel. I think healthy could have definitely solidified a role, but there are some names and some numbers coming off. Go get one of your big-time season moves that plays the shortstop position. There's that video that's surfacing of Trey Turner and his team with some highlight packages talking about what he provides. I'm like, yo, dude, put that right on John Middleton's desk. Make that so it's his wallpaper on his desktop. So every time he opens up his computer and he goes to his email or his iMessage and whatever he's doing on his MacBook, that puppy's playing nonstop. But are you going to get Castellanos back to a Castellanos form? That's a huge issue. That changes a ton. You basically got zippo from your right fielder. Nothing at all. Seriously, what do you think about it? 13 home runs. 13. And I couldn't even tell you the last time that he barreled one up where you thought, like it's close. It's going to deep center field. You're watching the outfielder. Is he going back? He's going back. He's at the wall. Oh, like he just missed it. You don't see that. You see piss poor swings. That's just as big as adding a new teammate. That's just as big as an off-season move. Even if you get him back to 25 home runs. Just something that gives you professional at-bats and can wear you down if you're an opposing pitcher. We already got a bunch of remarks, too, about, oh, I'm so thankful we don't have to watch Schwarber lead off anymore. I'll be honest with you. If Kyle Schwarber has to lead off for this baseball team again, I got no issue with it. I got no issue with a man that can provide that. I do wonder if you do get Trey Turner and he leads off for you and you go Turner and let's say Rhys Hoskins is still here. Rhys Hoskins is here. Bryce bats 3. JT bats 4. Schwarber 5. Do I want someone who can hit? Basically, you add up all those postseason home runs too. You're talking about a big dude that can rock 50 for you. Do you want that batting 5th or do you want that guy seeing more at-bats? And because you don't want to bat him and Bryce Harper next to each other because of the lefty stuff, you're very limited in what you can do. But if Bryce is solidified in that 3 spot, which I think makes the most sense for him, there's only a couple different options that you can do. But I'd be all right with it. I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Because how many heard this? Oh, well, only if they played more small ball. It's not about small ball. The strikeouts and all, that's not about small ball. Yordan Alvarez, this postseason, this World Series, batted 130. He had 3 hits total before that home run. That means he had 3 hits total after that home run. That means he had 2 all World Series long. My point of bringing that up is Yordan Alvarez hitting a shot that was crushed off Alvarado. That's why they won. Pena hitting a home run off Thor. That's a big reason why they won that baseball game in South Philadelphia. Before that, when Pena had his first RBI of the game, it wouldn't have happened if Jose Altuve didn't murder one off the wall, which he ended up getting to third base on. There was a bit of some wonkiness out in center field from Brandon Marsh, but that is power. You win games because of power. Yordan Alvarez against the Seattle Mariners. Power. These teams that win, they don't win because of small ball. You know who plays small ball? The Cleveland Guardians. You know who got beat by a team that got swept by the Houston Astros and really didn't close? The Cleveland Guardians. They played the Yankees and it wasn't even really maybe they did have a bit of a shot because of a miracle game there where the Yankees blew it super late. But seriously, the Guardians have a ceiling because of the crap offense that they had. Cute little storyline. Oh, here's the young the small ball team. Yeah, okay. It's not about small ball. It's just about the guys at the plate doing their jobs. Rhys Hoskins, Nick Castellanos being overpowered. Even JT, who slowed down. Bryce didn't really get much to hit. Why? Why give Bryce the chance to beat you? Couple walks were thrown in there. All right, we'll face the guy behind him. That's where I thought Rob stood to his guns way too much, man. Way too much on the lineup side of things. The reason why I can live with it more with the Alvarado, use what got you there, if that's what you believe, and I do like that method. So he goes, I'm using what got me here with Castellanos. The difference is, at one point, Alvarado was your best reliever in baseball. At one point, Alvarado won you a baseball game because of the method of Alvarez and game 1. And they highlight that. And as I mentioned, he had 2 hits all World Series long. So he didn't beat you. At one point, he was your bread and butter. At no point this season was Nick Castellanos. You won because of his filthy, gross play behind Bryce Harper. Was there one game where he had a couple RBI and a nice catch? Okay. So every squirrel finds the nuts. But he was never really a polished part of your offensive identity and your brand. So just as much as we talk about all these new additions and what John Middleton and Dave Dombrowski can do, we also have to touch on the fact that Nick Castellanos being more of himself would change a lot. But I don't know if he can do it. I don't know if this is a mental thing. I don't know what. But I'm not feeling good about it. If I was a betting man and I saw the odds, I'm sure it's not going to be heavy on Nick Castellanos being a full-on stud next season. And if he is, great. And that's what I prefer, and that's what I want. Because then I can enjoy my baseball team again. Because him being something, on top of a Turner being here and giving you what he provides, the defensive glove. You talk about his stats according to Fangraphs. It's crazy. That's like 2 All-Stars being on your team. I just don't think it'll happen. I just don't. And there's not many starting pitchers out there. The market, there's some guys with some club option stuff or some player option stuff. There's not much out there that's sexy. It's going to take a trade. And the one that brings you the most value back in return is the guy standing over at first base. And I'm sure we would all be willing to do it. But I'm not doing it just to get rid of him because you're upset with him. Bryce Harper being healthy, albeit we still need to figure out what's happening with him during this offseason, and him playing in the field changes a lot. Now, you still have too many DHs on this roster. That's clear. But in regards to Schwarber not playing left every day, this guy's a warrior, man. I don't think that that's getting touched on enough. Seriously. Kyle Schwarber playing left as long as he did? I know Nick Castellanos wasn't supposed to and all, but Schwarbs is different. Nick stinks defensively, but I think his body can hold up better than where Schwarber is in his career right now. That's just how it feels to me from just watching with my eye test and my smell test. But you can get Reese off of his feet a little bit. Maybe JT behind the plate doesn't have to play behind the dish. He could go to first base, give Reese a day off, get Stubbs an at-bat or two, but then Stubbs could take all the pitches behind the dish. JT's back could be in first. Reese can be in the lineup, in the DH spot, whatever. I'm just looking at all sorts of different scenarios here, but that could help out the corners. I don't trust Alec Boehm long-term. I never really have, even though he has leaped insanely from where he was last year. I'm still not all the way in on him as a long-term third baseman. I don't know what he is, but I don't love it. And I wonder if they do move on from Rhys Hoskins, do they see him as a potential first baseman over there? Couldn't be any worse than Rhys. I don't know if it'll be great, but the difference is Rhys gives you 30 home runs. What did Alec Boehm finish with at the end? Finished more than Castellanos, which is embarrassing for Nick Castellanos. I believe he did, didn't he? Oh, the same. They both had 13. Alec Boehm had 13. Unless, was that just regular season? That might just be regular season. So with the postseason, he's got more because he had the one. I just don't know if what I'm looking at right now is everything or just the regular. I think it's just the regular season, though, which would make the most sense. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my pain that I'm feeling right now. That's where I'm at emotionally. I'm having a very difficult time. I'm having a hard time trying to grasp this. And I'm someone that needs way more grieving. I have way too much time ahead of me of feeling this very brutal, disgusting feeling. You're not wrong to get over it quickly. I just don't have that in my own body. My mind doesn't feel that way. I look at it more of, you lost your chance. Even during the times of Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid and the Eagles constantly being in the mix for the NFC, you're always there, you're always there, you're always there. You can't let it slip. They let it slip. That's why in 2017, you don't know when you're going to be back. The Rams won the Super Bowl. They look like shit. Football is more year to year than baseball is. And I expect the Phillies to be competitive again. I expect them to be good again. But I don't see them built like the Houston Astros. You got to get to the playoff. Look, think about how many years it's been a mess. All the way dating back to when they had to break it all down. And we went through Odubel Herrera, Michael Franco, Cesar Hernandez, Nick Williams, Aaron Altair, all these trashy-ass players. They made you sit through that trash of the summertime. No way in hell is one miracle run going to take away all of that too. So, with that, you need to do this for multiple seasons in a row before I get behind, all right, I see some sustained success, get to the NLCS a couple years in a row. Then I'm all in. Then I believe you. I'm not saying it's impossible, but they got beat up pretty badly by the Mets last year. How about start with winning a damn series against a division opponent where you're not finishing third in your division? Here's what this did for me, though. Now, even if they have a bad September and they don't look as good, I have more confidence now I can live more with just get in. Because this season, if you told me just get in, I'd say, well, come on. What are the chances? And the chances are very, very small, and I don't take it for granted that they were able to maximize that, but I don't think if you back in with 87 wins, you're going to end up in Game 6 of the World Series very often. It can happen. We've seen fun rides, but like I said, the Nationals, their ride was wild, right? Look where they have been since. The Braves, their run was wild with Acuna going down and all those trades. And Jock Peterson in October, we've seen that before. Craziness. Yet when they're winning divisions in other seasons, doesn't look the same. You don't know when. So I'm angry. I'm broken. I can't just sit back and play the yearbook. Yet. After some time goes by, absolutely. When the Flyers won in 2010, I was heartbroken even though that they won at the end of the regular season and Boucher in the shootout against the Rangers got them in it. Michael Layton took over. They lost to the Blackhawks. Am I supposed to not care and say, well, it was fun? Of course it was fun. Saying it was fun is an obvious statement. Yeah, we had a blast. But there's more to it than just that. More to it than just that. I did it again where I spoke so long I didn't even grab any of the Anytime Hotline calls. We got a whole folder filled of them. Maybe I can save them for when we talk about the Phillies again and just react to some of the thoughts on the night of. Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 right now in a folder that I snagged. All right, whatever. We'll worry about that later. I'll keep that saved to my desktop. I'll give the fans a lot of credit here. I'm very proud of, and this is where we'll kind of wrap things up, the fan base in regards to what to blame. Because when Rob Thompson pulled Zach Wheeler, Twitter went into flames. All right, it got lit on fire, and it was absurd. It was a big moment of the game. And I won't argue anyone that thought Zach Wheeler should have stayed in the game. I just don't think it was as pitiful as others think that he went to the bullpen. I label it very similar to what happened against the Padres. In the Padres series, they stayed with Suarez, who didn't give up home runs to lefties all year long, instead of going to Josh Hader. You probably should have went with Josh Hader. He's a better opportunity for you to win. But it's not like Suarez is a disaster. Both are good options. One's just better than the other. I thought Zach Wheeler is the better option there because he was still throwing 98. But they looked at it as it was predetermined because they highlighted that matchup. Third time around the order, their 70 to 80 pitches for Zach Wheeler is similar to maybe 90 to 95 to 100 pitches for somebody else because of where he was on his rest and just where he was out lengthwise. They haven't stretched him out as much as they probably would have liked to. It working for them in the past in game one. All of this is real, but I didn't get a lot of Rob's dumb, Rob's stupid, Rob. A few people brought it up in passing, but it was labeled legitimately the right way throughout the day today on a Monday after they get eliminated on Saturday. I thought there would be more anger towards Rob, and I'm happy that it wasn't as aggressive. It's fair to criticize it, no doubt. I'm not saying it's not debatable. I'm not saying you can't have that argument. You absolutely can. And quite frankly, I think it's a fun one to have, and I think it's a reasonable one to have. And I think this time of year, everything that gets magnified so much that that's part of playoff baseball. Let's talk about it. Let's look at the pros and cons of both. Let's analyze it heavily. But I don't think it needs to be where one is absolutely 100% right and the other is 0% right. I think you had multiple options. You could have went to Ranger. Could have went to Ranger, could have went to Alvarado, could have kept Wheeler in. All are good options. But if Alvarado is 80%, if Ranger is 85%, and Wheeler's at 87%, see what I'm saying here? I think Alvarado versus Alvarez, 10 times, Alvarado wins 7. Just didn't happen on that night. But even his previous spot to win for the Astros, he did it against Ray. with Seattle. But that was set up for more of an uh-oh moment than what the Phillies did. That ball never landed, dude. That ball never landed. I still think it's flying, which is nuts. All right, everyone. I know I just rambled about a lot. That's just because there's so much happening. And I'm trying to dissect it all. And I don't know. I'm an emotional wreck. And there's a lot that's happening with this team still. And with a blink of an eye, we're going to be talking about some offseason moves because teams are already starting to do it. And Dave's going to be on the prowl. And I'm excited for it. But I'm hurting. And I think it's okay to still be hurting. There's no right or wrong way to do this. All right? Some things in life, everyone, they manage it differently. And this is the way I'm dealing with it. This is sort of my therapy. I need you here. Thank you for listening. Seriously. Get the microphone in front of my face. It's therapeutic for me. To scream and let it all out. I need to vent. So thanks for listening. You guys are the greatest. I love you. Talk to you guys soon.